Hello and welcome to the Team VVV podcast for all your weekly racing game rambles. I'm Martin and joining me as ever is Kevin.
Hi guys.
Alan.
Hello viewers.
And Ed.
Hi everyone.
As always, if you enjoyed the podcast, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe because it really helps support what we do. So then, right now the European Gran Turismo Sport Beta is underway. And it's basically spread like a virus all over the internet. Just videos everywhere you look. I mean, watching some of the gameplay, I think you can definitely see some improvements in terms of the visuals and audio compared to past Gran Turismo games. But I keep thinking, is it too little, too late? Is it really going to be worth the 4-year wait since GT6? Alan, you're obviously a long-time Gran Turismo player. What are your thoughts based on what we've seen so far?
Again, it's improved a lot since the early build. I mean, in terms of the visuals, it's improved to much more where we'd expect it to be. Again, I mean, time-wise now, we're so many years down the line. I mean, I don't think we thought, what was it, 2013 when GT6 came out?
Yep.
I don't think we thought it was going to be this many. They said we won't have to wait long for the next GT to come out at the time. So we expected one within 18 months because apparently it was already in production. So we don't even know how many years this has been in production. It's still looking like a Gran Turismo game, which is a good thing and not a bad thing, but it's also not pushing the boundaries forward now. We have games like Assetto Corsa out there now, which are sort of redefine the sort of handling physics and where they need to be. It's a benchmark, a milestone. It's not really there. Gran Turismo still has sort of one foot in the past. I think other things, viewpoints, there's limitation on viewpoints, and from what I can see, you can't remove the steering wheel and stuff like that, and lacking damage and stuff. It's all a bit basic, I guess. The package is still quite basic as well. There's not really much.
Actually, the bonnet camera still looks terrible. It's still too high, isn't it? I think
that roof cam, basically, the Mr. Bean driving position. It still is, isn't it? I've never liked that view. I don't know why they brought that in there.
One of the things they've always needed to fix that they just haven't.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Too much time working on photo modes and tyre.
It certainly leaves a lot to be desired, but it has some nice replay cameras and replay camera viewpoints and stuff like that. But certainly as a game, at the end of the day, we've got to play it. We've got to play some Fast and Furious racing online. I think that's one of the other things as well. Is if you don't like racing in esports and you just want to casually race without any pressure.
Yeah.
Is it going to be fun to play? Because I find esports and online gaming always has a little bit of pressure added to it. You're always racing someone that's going to be annoyed you've crashed them out, or they'll be crashing you out. And so I think that the next thing is, how many people will this version actually appeal to long term, or will it turn off a lot of the actual Gran Turismo fans?
It is odd when you think about it, because Gran Turismo is such a kind of mainstream racing franchise in that regard, and then by putting so much focus on esports, it's almost limiting its appeal.
Absolutely. I mean, I think esports is a bit like Project Cars. Esports is an option. You don't have to touch it. It's there if you want to. And I like that. I like the fact that it's because esports racing is an awful lot more serious. People take it very seriously. And they take it too seriously. I mean, I know I was in that tunnel vision world of esports 10 years ago. And there was high pressure and what felt like high stakes, but they weren't. When you're stuck in that world of esports, you see that rival team or those rival players, and you think, we've got to win this. We've got to win this for our reputation. But you're in a microcosm. You're in a very, you're just so tunnel vision on that. It doesn't matter if you win, you beat some guys online or not. Who cares? I mean, it's really not that important. And for me, it's, do I find it casually enjoyable to play? I'm not going to be getting involved in hardcore esports, and I think that's going to be the critical thing in terms of the average player. Esports market is the 1%. 99% of people will just play on there for fun, and probably 75% of people will buy it just because it's a Gran Turismo game, not because of any other reason, just because of brand knowledge and experience.
So that's probably not what they're expecting.
Well, that's it. We'll just have to wait and see, But until we all get our copies and we all get a chance to play it and see what's going on there, there's not really much we can say on it other than that. But we're seeing a few new tracks, a couple of ovals. Obviously, the ovals are just dull. There's not really much to them. Seeing the various popping of the 2D trees and other objects like that. I don't know. It's still kind of like, you know, an extension of Gran Turismo 5 in a way. We've kind of moved on, and some of the new circuit designs and stuff are nice, but I don't know. There's tarmac wise, it still wasn't showing the detail I would expect to see in the tarmac.
Yeah, it just looks too clean and kind of artificial somehow.
Yeah, I mean,
everything about Gran Turismo looks too perfect. I mean, you look at the way the cars drive around the track and the sort of behavior of the car and how it's reacting to bumps in the surface and things like that. You look at something like Project Cars; they'll show clips of the cars bumping over speed bumps or not even speed bumps, like curbs through a chicane or something, and the car's really animated and you can see the car struggling for grip and things. Whereas Gran Turismo, they sort of drive calmly round a corner and look like it's a scale electric or something.
There's no kind of body language in the cars, is there?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I mean, I think because there is that stability to the cars, and they are super stable, and you know they're trying to find a balance that gets people involved. Has a relative realism to it, but I don't know. I mean, the replay, lots of great GIFs online that look fantastic. You know, of cars speeding past, but in terms of what it's like to play and who it appeals to, the end game, I still don't know. I still don't know who this game is really aimed at. I mean, is it aimed at purely at the best players in the world, and everyone else could just play it, get beaten, and then give up? Because that's what will happen. You know, I mean, it will have a ranking system. I'll just say people are still under the impression that it has a full PSVR experience. You know, a lot of people on the net still haven't quite cottoned on to the fact that it's going to be quite limited.
It's a bit like when it's a bit like when F1 2015 didn't have a career mode. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Something so fundamental is just missing.
Especially on a big brand like this, after so many years development, you know, it just seems a bit. You think even with a limited amount of cars, they could do some kind of racer career that perhaps trains you as a racing driver, so that before you go online, or you know, to aid your online experience. I think something like that would be really good for, you know, taking you through the basic classes and helping you get on the pace and showing you the right gearings, stuff like that, so that your knowledge is there. You know, because don't forget, this isn't about experts. This is about taking the average gamer and giving them the tools they need to be able to complete competently online without falling off the track all the time. And you know, as I say, 90% of players barely ever make a clean lap on any of these racing games. I mean, you'd be surprised just how few people can manage that. So
that's where the matchmaking system will, you know, really be put to the test in GT Sport.
It will be put to test, because will it match you with other slow, inexperienced people who are struggling, or will it match you with crashers all the time, because the crashers will be downgraded? So
yeah, be interesting. Although I think the esports kind of angle could be interesting if it was like, I mean, what if a racing game doesn't have to be GT Sport? It could be Project Cars, because I know Project Cars are focusing a bit on esports as well. What if it started to go down almost the angle like what Rocket League has achieved, where you have personalities in the game? There are pro players, and they have live streams of their premium tournament that happens 3 times a year, and the live streams for it on a weekly basis get over 30,000 viewers.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like if they managed to do that with something like GT Sport or Project Cars, and you had racing teams competing in the games on a weekly basis in actual competitions held by Slightly Mad Studios, and it was, you know, there's prize money and all sorts going on, it could get quite massive. But
the problem is there's so much, there's no real structure and organization in there. You know, it's you know, to make it a sport is big and complicated in terms of sponsorship. You know, otherwise you've got kids and unemployed people at home playing for hours to try and get up these I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of the best players in the world are unemployed, and they want to get somewhere, and they feel that it's a job opportunity for them or whatever, and it's not. It's a dead end for a lot of them that will never get anywhere. Or you've got a lot of kids who are going to school or coming home, not doing their homework and focusing on their esport gaming all the time. So, and the people who are famous are the 0.00001% of players who actually get somewhere and are well known. You know, you'll have 100,000 people on a leaderboard. You'll have heard of 5 of them maybe. So, you know, and those guys are already going to win everything. You know, you're just not going to, because they're the aliens. You know,
that's true, but it's like it creates a sport when you can get like a top 100 amount of people that are all competing to like achieve something in a tournament. Like I mean, I can always just go back to Rocket League, where we get the RLCS that comes up every couple of months, and you get the top 8 teams in North America and the top 8 teams in Europe, and they all compete in a league-based game where they all play off against each other, and then they will go up to like eventually a grand final, which is done at a LAN event somewhere, and you know they always sell out all the tickets to that, and it's become huge. And then, you know, you get people watching it like how people watch football every Sunday, and
racing has got that potential. I mean, I can't comment on that specifically. I mean, I've been to lots of LAN events, and people say, "Oh, look, you know, there's 200 or 300 people here and all that," but in the scheme of things, that's nothing. You know, I mean, you know, and we'll just have to wait and see where it goes. There's potential there, but as I say, it's in terms of, is it worth you as a gamer investing your time to get somewhere? Well, no, because there's no guaranteed return on your time. It's something is fun until it becomes serious, and then there's no fun. So for those top players, there's no fun in it anymore. It does get quite stressful, in fact, playing the games. And for those that make it, good. But for those that are just under the top tier, that are also very good, they've wasted, you know, several hundred hours play just to get to 102 in the world, you know. And that's where you know, like for me, I mean, I'm happy to sort of race and enjoy racing games these days. And sure, if I practiced on a racing game, I'm a very competitive person if I want to be. I mean, I'll get right up there. But I know that the time, the dedication, and the stress and the strain is quite significant when you're sort of competing for esport victories and you're running teams and all that sort of stuff. And it's people just need to go into it with their eyes open. I think that's the only thing. But as for Gran Turismo Sport, you know, I'm happy to play online, have a few races. I'm not going to take it massively seriously. I'm going to see what it's like online. And if everybody takes it too seriously, then I probably wouldn't keep on playing it, because I just don't want to be in that kind of, you know, atmosphere, you know. But I'm happy to just play it and enjoy. I think iRacing was a bit like that, you know. It was fun, and it was fun because it was serious, but it was also, people took it so seriously that it was just involved. It was just not fun anymore. You know, accidents happen and stuff like that when you're racing, and people were analysing and having a go at everything you did. And I thought, it's not fun for me. It's just not fun for me. I just want to play a racing game, you know. So sometimes people will take you out, sometimes you'll take them out. You know, I accept that. Let's just all accept that and move on. It's, you know, it's fun. We're not, you know.
It's great. It's great that it caters to that, you know, really hardcore audience. But on the other hand, I do worry, like I said before, that it's missing that traditional GT experience as well for people that aren't interested in the online aspect.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, you've got iRacing out there for the serious car esports. I mean, and GT is not going to touch iRacing in terms of physics and options available. So.
No, but it's good to have an iRacing
on console.
Experience on console.
Absolutely. Which one will do it better? Project Cars 2, though, and Gran Turismo remains to be seen.
That's exactly what I was about to lead on to, because nothing that I've seen in GT Sport so far would make me want to play it more than Assetto Corsa or Project Cars 2. You know, if you want a simulation that lets you drive road cars, there's Assetto Corsa. And obviously, Project Cars 2 has the the variety of motorsport disciplines and also the esport element as well. So I'm kind of thinking, GT Sport has the established brand appeal, but it's going to be a very competitive year for it. Back when GT5 came out, there wasn't that strong competition like there is now.
No, it's changed a lot, hasn't it? I mean, it's going to be really competitive. As for who has the best esports system, and I mean, when you look on the surface, I mean, Project Cars 2 has all of the seasons and weather and time of day and everything like that. And we haven't seen any of that sort of stuff in Gran Turismo yet.
No, it has that broadcast sort of system, doesn't it? As well, you can direct the camera angles and things like that. I do quite like the sound of that, I must admit.
Oh yeah, I mean, some of the options to look into on Project Cars 2 for the commentary and everything sound tremendous.
Then with Project Cars 2, you'll know that even though it has this really in-depth online esports aspect, there's also going to be a very good immersive career mode, judging from the first game.
Yes, yeah. So
exactly.
it's a complete package there. So, the games industry, racing gaming market could change massively in the next 18 months. I mean, it really could change for everyone. And we don't really know what Forza Motorsport's doing with all this either. I mean, expectation is that Forza's going to go down the esport route as well. They do genuinely want to make something of this. But then this whole thing could be a bit of a flash in the pan at the same time. We've been here before.
Yes, we have seen fans in the past.
Indeed.
On the subject of Project Cars 2, last week we obviously talked about the introduction of Rallycross. Of course, we had the new trailer, which had absolutely terrible music, I might add.
Ed loves it.
Yeah, I said that just for you, Ed.
Fully sick.
Yeah, there's a big discussion about that in the other video. Lots of debates about music taste.
Yeah.
But what was interesting, though, I think, is that it seems to have more Rallycross content than Dirt 4, which is a game, a dedicated rally game with Rallycross content. But it turns out, though, it has another rival, because it just so happens that Milestone's Gravel features official Rallycross content as well.
Gravel does, yeah.
Yes. The single best name for a racing game this year.
Yeah. Gotta love a bit of Gravel.
Gravel, absolutely. We love it. Well, that's interesting news today, isn't it? I mean, it spices it all up for everybody. Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a surprise for everybody that Project Cars 2 has so much in it, given it's just a very small portion of the game. I mean, Dirt 4 will be the official Rallycross game. That'll have more of the official courses. And again, it's a very small part of Project Cars 2. There's a lot more to the title than that. So it's nice to see that they've got these new disciplines, and they're supporting them properly. But as for Gravel, well, we'll just have to wait and see what they've got, and be interesting. I mean, it's an arcade game, so it certainly won't be like the other two. I mean, it's a very different experience to the other two.
I mean, in a way, I'm not surprised, because they did feature, obviously, official Rallycross circuits in Sebastian Loeb. But then, like you say, this is a completely different game. It's an arcade game. It's set on the fictional island. So, yeah, I'm kind of half and half, to be honest. But nevertheless, it's a good addition. And
for me, it just makes me feel like Gravel's just going to be more fun. It's just more stuff to do in a game that could be quite a lot of fun. So yeah. All thumbs up, really.
Yeah, exactly. Anything that kind of expands the potential appeal of it, we're all for it.
Yeah, and for the arcade market as well, it's nice to have an arcade version, because I mean the other two are very serious. I mean, the Project Cars 2 Rallycross is very challenging, very challenging. So
serious business.
No, we need more arcade racing games. It's that's a fad I would like to see come back.
Oh yes,
I must admit. Actually, we're on the subject of Dirt 4, actually. So this year is obviously a big year for Codemasters. We've got Dirt 4 in June, and inevitably F1 2017 at some point, probably in the summer. But there is actually another Codemasters title that hasn't had a lot of spotlight since it was announced. I'm talking, of course, about the long-awaited return of Micro Machines. It's coming back.
Yeah.
We've finally seen the first ever gameplay of it, but can we just talk about that epic voiceover in the trailer?
Yes.
Brian Blessed.
Well, here's the thing. I had to.
Gordon's alive.
I did the trailer video for the channel, and I had the arduous task of drowning out Mr. Brian Blessed, which, let's face it, is no easy task.
Yeah,
So,
I bet that was a tricky video to edit in terms of volume balancing.
it was probably the most, the trailer I've put the volume down the most, you know, it's like minus 21 decibels or something. Yeah, Brian Blessed, my God, that man's got a voice. He is loud.
Yeah, so Dirt had Ken Block. I think Micro Machines has outdone it there with Brian Blessed.
It's just, I couldn't believe what I was hearing and seeing and reading. You know, Brian Blessed's in a computer game. Do you know what, though? I don't think he really delivered the lines as well as he perhaps could have done. Maybe he just sort of phoned it in on a day, but I was hoping for really, really over the top sort of stuff, and it just wasn't. It just didn't quite live up to the sort of cheesiness that Brian Blessed is known for, you know. So a little bit underwhelmed, I guess.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Has he done any voiceovers for video games in the past?
I'm not sure.
Question.
No, I wouldn't know off the top of my head.
Remember if he did.
You may have. You know, so many people have done stuff on games now that, you know, you don't know what's buried in the annals of history.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what can we say? I mean, it looks exactly
fun.
Yeah, it looks exactly like the Micro Machines you know and remember, for better or worse.
Really nice detail, nice looking environments. It looks like a Micro Machines game. So, I mean, obviously this is a battle mode trailer, but no doubt we'll have a racing mode or something like that in there as well.
Yep.
And you know, it'll be the complete Micro Machines experience. Micro Machines was always a winner, simple yet effective. So look forward to it.
And there is also nothing else like it out at the moment. I mean, you could argue, obviously, we've got Mantis Bone Racing, but there's no power-ups in that.
No.
Tabletop Racing World Tour, it's not a top-down racer. So, I mean, yes, it's a miniature racing game. They are making a bit of a comeback at the moment, but they're always going to be compared to Micro Machines, though, aren't they? It's a bit like when a kart racing game comes out, it's always compared to Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Likewise, miniature racing games.
Yeah.
Micro Machines, and now it's finally back.
Yeah.
I love the design of some of the environments, though. You know, they look very what's the word? Dynamic.
Yes.
Yeah, I really like the Hungry Hippos.
Yes, me too. Yes.
Nice little addition there.
Yeah, this has all been my problem with other miniature racing games. You've got these quite vibrant environments, but they're always really sterile. You know, there's nothing going on.
Yeah, I guess that's where tabletop racing excelled as well, was the environments. They were so dynamic. You know, you could take your shortcuts, you know, the hidden super coins, hidden shortcuts, and there was a lot of depth to it, which didn't appear obvious at first. And hopefully, the same is true of this game. And you know, it certainly looks like it based on what we've seen so far. But we haven't seen a lot, admittedly. But the battle mode
is the first footage we've actually seen of it.
Yeah, exactly. We've had screenshots before, and this is coming out pretty soon, isn't it? June 23. So we're talking 2 months away. You know, it certainly is a game I'm looking forward to. It looks really fun. Looks really chaotic. So it looks like stepping up a notch from tabletop racing, and I'd love to get my hands on this game, see what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, cast your mind back. They did release was it called Toy Box Turbos a few years back, which was basically Micro Machines in all but name by Codemasters.
Testing the waters, perhaps.
Yeah, I think that's the case. Yeah. I don't think it was overly well received.
No.
At the time. I mean, everyone's forgotten about it now. It has had the staying power of.
And they don't really seem to be getting behind this game so much. The marketing campaign is almost non-existent. So they need to get behind it, because it looks like they've got a good product here. Yeah,
and Micro Machines does have its fair share of fans. You know, I think it's. I'd say, you know, it's one of those series I think people have been wanting to come back, because, like we said earlier, there's such a void of just accessible racing games that are fun to pick up and play, and this really does look like it fits the bill.
Yeah,
it does indeed.
It's interesting the way they've gone with this. They've gone with only 12 vehicles, which is probably alarming for a lot of people. But when you sort of look at the vehicles, they all seem very, very different from one another. And as far as I understand it, they have their own unique weapon set, or at least one weapon that's perhaps unique to each.
Well, I remember I think it was Micro Machines V4. There were literally hundreds of cars.
Yes.
I think it was V4.
V3, I know, had plenty of cars. You collected them and leveled them up.
V4 had something like 400 cars or something like that.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah. That might explain why it's a budget title.
Yeah.
It's only going to be about 20 quid.
Okay, well, £20 still a fair amount of money, isn't it, for a supposedly sort of simple racer?
Yeah, I suppose, although it is getting a retail release as well, because we like our physical copies of games.
Yes. Don't take them away from us, please.
No.
And if they're keeping it cheap and simple, then they've got to make sure that the mechanics of the game are up to par. Because when you haven't got loads of content, you haven't got loads of cars to choose from.
Yeah,
You've got to make sure that the mechanics are good enough to hold up.
It seems like it's got a very sort of party focus, this one.
Mm.
It looks like a lot of fun. I think having Brian Blessed as a voice actor in it is a great idea. and just because I'm curious, I have looked up what he's been in before.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's such.
He's been Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
What's he been in?
Disney Tarzan in the year 2000, the game for that.
Oh, okay.
It was in Kingdom Hearts 2002 release of that. And Warhammer 40,000 Fire Warrior. I don't know what
I think I remember that one now. Been in that one actually, yeah.
Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure.
Ooh.
Yeah. And a few others as well.
See, he'd be a good voice for like what's it called? Warcraft? War of Warcraft, is it?
World of Warcraft. He probably would
World
be,
of Warcraft, that's the one.
He'd be a good voice actor in pretty much any game, really.
Yeah.
Gotta love a bit of Brian Blessed.
I'm surprised you actually know who he is, actually, Ed.
Why is that?
I thought he'd be like an oldie, more of an old person.
Thing.
Yeah, I thought it would be. Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Oh.
It's good to know you're blessed. You are blessed.
See, I only remember from Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, a film that I don't like mentioning by name. It's one of those films that just never happened in my mind. I remember there was another game actually that had a celebrity voiceover. I'm trying to think what it was. Like a really famous celebrity you wouldn't expect to feature in a racing game. A non-racing driver. What was it? I remember. Stephen Fry. He was in Little Big Planet
really?
Cartoon.
Oh, okay. Yes. He's got a very distinctive voice, hasn't he? So he's like, it'd be a good,
just perfect. Little Big Planet. He suited it so well. I must say, but no, it's good to see Micro Machines make a comeback. I think too, it's bringing that focus back onto party racing, like you said, which I think is something else we've really been lacking. Multiplayer.
Yeah. We like say we need gravel and Micro Machines. They're bringing back that arcade vibe, and we need a bit more like sort of conversely to the beginning of this conversation where we had the moody Gran Turismo chat, where we have the rather positive setup here, in terms of
we try and balance things out here.
I mean, all right, now and again it can get quite competitive for Micro Machines. It can do when you're multiplayer environment. They're all in the same room and one person keeps winning, and it's really frustrating. But it can be good fun as well.
So speaking of retired racing series making a comeback, I know Kevin's been looking forward to talking about this. Snowmobile racing has made a comeback recently with the release of Snow Motor Racing Freedom by the makers of Aqua Motor Racing, a water-based racer. Kevin, you've been playing through it recently. What do you think of it, and how does it compare to Aqua Motor Racing?
Right, I would say Aqua Moto is a far better game. Although it does have its share of problems. For example, Aqua Moto has like very aggressive AI, and you're going in between the buoys, and they can often knock you off your line or knock you away from the buoy, so you miss the buoy, and if you miss 3 buoys, you have a penalty. Oh, sorry, it's qualified.
Didn't they tweet that recently though in a patch? Or has it not been improved that much?
I think it's almost as if they made the AI easier, so perhaps you don't bump into them because you're in front of them. Maybe that's the sort of roundabout way of fixing it. But honestly, I feel the same problems are still there, even post-patch. But Snow Motor Racing Utopia is very rough around the edges. Yeah, unfortunately.
Is it?
No, I mean, we mentioned this before very briefly on the last podcast, the sort of sterile and bland environments.
Yeah.
They're just so unfinished. They're very flat. There's no sort of there's no lighting effects going on. There's nothing of note. It's just very bland, very flat looking. It's very uninspiring. It looks like it needs another year development time.
Especially when you played Blizzard Mountain as well, which has phenomenal snow effects.
Yeah.
I know a completely different studio in terms of budget, but it's hard not to compare sometimes when you've when that really did set the standard.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just the handling of the snowmobiles is just so frustrating. You got 3 main modes. I've only actually played 2 modes of the 3 so far. So you got your Sprint League mode, which is the sort of checkpoint races where you essentially have an environment and you have a number of scattered checkpoints, and you make your own way to each checkpoint in sequence, however you feel fit. But often there's only like one real sort of route you should be taking, a sort of optimal route, which you have to kind of learn for yourself. You can follow the AI riders and do it that way. But I just found that the steering was very like oversensitive mostly. For an arcade racer, you want to be able to steer and have fun with the game, but here you're almost frightened to put too much input on the steering, and it's just getting through the checkpoints. They're quite narrow, so it almost sort of goes against the handling. If the handling was good, then you could have these narrow checkpoints, but the fact that it's not very good, it sort of works against itself by having these very sort of small checkpoints that you have to pass through. And then you've got the snowcross mode, which is basically MXGP on snow, and I just found myself keep falling off the track. The very first vehicle they give you is absolutely horrible to control. You're skidding off the track all the time, oversensitive steering. Yeah. The second craft they give you is a lot better, but the damage is done by then. You're sort of wondering, why did they give you such a horrible handling snowmobile to start with? So
from what you're saying there, it just doesn't sound like much fun at all.
It's not. It's more frustrating than fun, as I found it. It's a bit of a grind to get through the sort of championship
sounds like Flat
mode.
4.
Well, it's worse than Flat Out 4.
Just in terms of being more frustrating than fun,
Yes, it's.
Shouldn't be that difficult to be fun. Like Flat Out 4, it's a destruction racing game. You smash into things. It should be fun.
Yeah. I mean, there is some fun to be had. I found when you're sort of going down the very steep slopes, it's pretty thrilling. You're going down at speed. But then when you go up a slope, you hear the horrible drone of the snowmobile as it struggles to get up.
Ah, yes. I did notice when I played it, I must admit the sound effects did stand out to me as not being very good.
Yeah, it's like it struggles so much to get up the hill. It's it's dying on you.
In my ear
yeah, exactly. It's so slow. It really struggles to get up there, and it's like, and sometimes you'll pull a wheelie as well, which you don't want, and it's all a bit of a mess, really. And I don't know. It seems a bit strange that it's so much fun going down the hills, but going up them is completely the opposite. So it's
yeah. Well, it can all be yours for $24.99.
Well, that's another thing, isn't it? The price it doesn't represent the quality of the product, and I think you do have to factor in the price when it comes to reviewing titles. Some people don't believe that should be the case, but I honestly do.
No, I'm all for that.
Yeah, and for that asking price, it's just not up to par, and it's a shame because Aquamoto showed some good points, and if they could build upon that, have some momentum. But sadly, they've very much taken a step backwards, I feel, with Snowmoto Racing Freedom.
I mean, it's more expensive, I think, than Blizzard Mountain.
Yeah, not to recommend.
I know which one I'd rather have.
Yes.
That's the problem. There's just no real competition. There's no other snowmobile racer out there at all this generation.
No, it's been a few years.
A lost genre.
Yeah. And maybe that's for good reason, because based off what we've seen here, I don't know. It seems it should have been a fun game, but it just really isn't, unfortunately. So it's not a game I'm going to be spending an awful lot of time with once I've completed the review. I have to say,
It's always been a genre, I think, that works better as like a vehicle class in another game rather than a standalone experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, is there a massive market for it? No, there isn't, quite simply. And like you say, it's okay as an add-on to a main game, but as a standalone title, especially one that costs £25,
it's really the price that gets me the most. Yeah,
even if it was a really good title, it would struggle to sell, I think, at that price.
So a lot for a digital-only game.
Yeah.
I must say, for an indie title as well.
It could be the lowest reviewed score we give on VVV in the history. Ooh. So yeah, it's pretty rough.
Yes, a bit rubbish, to say the least.
Oh dear.
Total rubbish.
That reminds me, actually. There's a new PS2 game coming out this week. It's called ATV Renegades.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, that's a PS4 game, isn't it? I couldn't tell from the trailer.
Oh, the hate.
Savagery.
The hate is strong right now.
Seriously, watch the trailer of ATV Renegades and tell me I'm wrong.
Oh my goodness me! I mean, honestly, is that possibly one of the worst games ever? I mean, it's even a bad-looking mobile game, and that's me saying that, not some internet fanboy. I mean, it really looks, well, like you say, we can't even use the words to describe it, can we? I mean, I think what's funny about it is that the way the guy does a trick and then falls off his quad bike after every single trick. If you watch the trailer, he literally falls off when it hits the ground every time.
It's not how to do a trailer, is it?
You know, what is that telling me? That when you do a trick, you fall off every single time, and the tricks as well look terrible. He's like rigid. He like floats, hovers above his quad bike, and he moves around and then goes down onto it again.
Yeah, he kind of spins in the air, doesn't he? But his body doesn't move. It looks really odd.
Like rigid. It's like, oh God, how can a game be so bad? Honestly, it really does look.
I think actually that game's getting
bad.
I think that game's getting a boxed release as well.
Really?
Really?
Oh, wow.
My goodness me.
No, what a waste of plastic.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Meow.
Oh wow. Yeah, I mean that is. I mean, it's easily the most shocking thing, isn't it? I mean, just absolutely shocking.
I don't know. You know, I might prefer this to Snow Moto.
Well, I'll tell you, two peas in a pod. Yeah, I guess.
Shall we move on?
Move on. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Battlefront 2. I know it's not a racing game, but Alan and I are, let's be honest, self-confessed hardcore Star Wars nerds, so it has to be done. Although we can get away with it actually because Criterion were involved, so it's semi-racing game related. It has space fights.
You'll find a way. You'll find a way.
Racing game developers, and we cover VR. So there's lots of awesome VR on the way as well. I can't wait. Carry on, Martin. Carry on.
Yes. So obviously the trailer came out during Star Wars Celebration, and although it was leaked a week beforehand, so that did kind of spoil the surprise. But it does seem to be addressing most of the main criticisms of the first game. It has single player. It has more content. There's no season pass. Thank God.
Yeah.
That did annoy me with the first game. You bought it, and then you had to buy the season pass just to unlock half the game.
Yeah, I mean, especially given how little content there was, you know, to have a season pass to unlock the core content, you know, and it did break the community in a way because it diluted it so badly.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the fact they've added a single player now, and they've made the story canon as well with obviously Return of the Jedi. It does look promising. I do hope there's more VR content though. That's something that really, really blew us away with Battlefront.
There will be. I know that there will be. So you know, they're working on stuff, and I think the Rogue One dogfight's going to be in PSVR as well. So.
I will say that there's too much prequel content for my liking.
Yeah, it's a bit concerning, isn't it? When we see the prequel, you know, we're like, come on, look, we're just getting over that stuff now. You know, we're moving on.
We will forget they ever happened, but yeah, this just keeps reminding us.
You know, it's don't get me wrong. It's nice to see Darth Maul, the most wasted character. I mean, it always frustrates me with Darth Maul because Darth Maul, you know, is standing over Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's there, and then Obi-Wan jumps over Darth Maul's head and chops him in half at the end of episode 1, right? But skip 2 films to episode 3, and Obi-Wan says to Anakin, "I've got the high ground, Anakin. You can't defeat me." Well, hang on a minute. You defeated Darth Maul, who had the high ground, quite easily. So what's changed there? Anyway, Bill ran. You know, carry on.
Underestimated his mileage. That's what it was.
Yeah, I always cringe at that line. I must admit. I say that I cringe at most lines in that film.
Yeah,
it has the worst dialogue.
Do you know one of my biggest frustration with the original 3 was that Anakin, right, should have been British, not American. Right? Controversial? No, not at all. Because when you go to Return of the Jedi, you know, help me take this mask off. Now go, my son. He's British. Darth Vader's British. So how did he suddenly become an American in his youth?
He was a black American dude, though, wasn't he?
No, the voice was, but not when he took the mask off. It wasn't. Now go, my son, leave me. I got to save you. You already have. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Exactly. Darth Vader's not only British, he's also Bristolian.
Ah, yes, of course. Yeah.
His
That's why that is actually why they brought in, they changed his voice.
Yeah,
because it would have been a bit odd
too strong
having the Green Cross Code man as Darth Vader. But yeah, David Prowse. Legend. Yeah, I mean, so let's talk a bit about it anyway. So we've seen the trailer for it. Obviously the trailer's spectacular. We've got this new character, this new female character. She's like head of a special forces team. When I first saw the trailer, I thought that was the thing that kind of disappointed me the most. I kind of feel she looks like something out of Mass Effect Andromeda, poorly modeled, poorly animated, and I think not really looking like someone from the Star Wars universe. It's kind of, you kind of feel they sort of shoehorned her in there, and it just doesn't look right. So
jarring.
It was a bit jarring, and I know they've got this sort of female lead thing going on with Star Wars right now, and Rey and Jyn, Erso and this, but I just kind of felt that it would have been good to have seen sort of one of the sort of male commanders that you saw on on the AT-ATs or something, it would have been good to have seen one of them in line with the actual film. Yeah, in line with the film. Be one of those commanders.
More space battles though.
More space battles, which is what we want. We want to be flying ships. I hope they change the controls to a more sort of rogue squadron type control. I found that the controls didn't really adapt well to dogfights, and also I found it was very hard seeing other ships. When you're playing the Rogue One DLC, in particular, that you're just seeing dots in the distance. You can't make anything out, and suddenly you're shot and you're blown up. You have to rely very. Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say it was a bit of a throwaway mode, I think, wasn't it?
It was badly handled, and also I found that the dogfights was heavily onto targeting systems. It's all about locking on and firing a torpedo on everything rather than actually flying and using actual shooting skill. And I don't know. I just feel so they need to work on that, in terms of the overall dynamics of space fights. I think one player experience, really look forward to it, despite the sort of canned sort of character look. I think there's talk of a Luke story, continuing after he's after the Emperor's dead and Vader's died, where Luke goes on his adventure. That should be awesome. And generally the graphics, it looks like it's going to stretch right from the prequels and action right through to A New Hope, and then on to The Force Awakens and
The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi, yeah, it could be awesome. So, I mean, in terms of a trailer, I mean, wow, I watched it a couple of times and I thought that is some epic action. I just didn't like that one main character in it. Just didn't think it suited it.
It reminds me a bit of Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One, where just lingers on his really bad CGI face for too long.
Well, they did. One thing about Tarkin, I'll just say, actually, I went to see it at cinema again. And
me too.
And the second time I watched it, there were some scenes where he looked amazing. And there are some scenes where I thought, he doesn't look as good in that scene. I would have cut that. It wasn't necessary to have him that close to the camera.
Yeah, exactly. Don't get me wrong, it is amazing CGI, but you can still tell it's CGI. I think that's
same with the Leia scene. I didn't think they needed to be that close to Leia. I thought that they could have done with her being, even if it's from behind, but she looked around for a moment. I don't think it needed that close up,
I thought they got away with the Leia scene just because it was brief enough.
I don't know. For me, they're both a little bit. There's just one or two. I mean, they did Tarkin very well. I mean, there's just a couple of scenes where I'd have said that shot and that shot. I'd have altered the approach to it, done it a bit further away, perhaps done him from behind even. It would have looked much better. But anyway, that's small bickering there. So yeah, I mean, Star Wars Battlefront. I adore Star Wars Battlefront. I've spent tons and tons of hours on it. They have reset my kills at some point. I don't know why. But I'm on level 70 now, so I'm still sort of leveling up gradually. But my only concern with Star Wars Battlefront 2 will be how they handle DLC, because now they're not doing a season pass. They're still going to do DLC because it's EA. And my only fear is that the people that will be, you know, the people with lots of expendable income will be able to buy all the best guns and weapons. And you'll spend like the first sort of 50 hours getting killed constantly by weapons that are 10 times more powerful than yours.
Yeah,
because you have to grind.
It's a bit like pre-order perks. I can't stand them, where if you pre-order it, you gain an advantage over everyone else.
Yeah, I don't like all that. Unbalances the game, and I think that's the only thing that I think could be a. I mean, when I played Battlefront for the first time, I said to people, "You've really that first sort of 5 to 10 hours of play, you had to grind because you needed to get a jetpack, you needed to get your grenades, and you needed to get, you know, some other perks like explosive rounds or something. Once you've got that, and you've got a couple of key guns, you're okay. You can get in there and you can battle with everybody. That jetpack for me is absolutely essential for jumping in there and jumping out there again.
Yeah,
but it's. I just hope they don't balance it. But anyway, Star Wars Celebration last week. Love Star Wars Celebration. Just love seeing John Williams playing the music.
Yeah, I watched all the conferences live.
I watched the conferences. Yeah, watched all that, and of course the new Last Jedi trailer, which doesn't give much away. You know, it does look. It's exciting. It's an exciting time for Star Wars. So, you know, as I say, I was very lucky to be on the red carpet for The Force Awakens a couple of years ago, and it was a wonderful opportunity. And I was also at the last time I was at the Empire Leicester Square was actually for the world premiere of Revenge of the Sith in 2005. And George Lucas and the cast and Rick McCallum, the producer, came in to have a chat to the cinema at the time. And at the time, we watched all 6 movies in one day. So we had to be in the cinema to start the films at 7 a.m. And the screening went on till 11 o'clock at night. So, yeah, he came in before the film, did a speech, and there was elation in the cinema. And, you know, we were like the first people to watch all 6 films in a row. It was great. So, yeah,
I numb bum after that. That's all I'm saying.
Numb bum, and of course, years before that, of course, I've still got the original Join the Celebration, the Star Wars 20th anniversary. So to think we're now at the 40th anniversary, my goodness me, we're all getting older, but I still love that universe. So yeah, I can't wait. Star Wars VR is going to be amazing on the PSVR. Hopefully, the Battlefront VR stuff will also be available for HTC Vive and Oculus Rift as well. So you know, that will be very interesting to see. I can't wait. So looking forward to it.
I'll tell you what, I was watching the live conference, eagerly anticipating the trailer reveal of The Last Jedi. Obviously, the conference went on for an hour just to keep you in suspense.
Oh, it was a pain, wasn't it? Yeah.
I actually missed the live reveal of the trailer because the dog decided to pull the wire out of my TV at that point.
Oh, I was sitting there. I was waiting for the stream, right? And it's like stream will begin shortly. Stream will begin shortly. 40 minutes later, it was still saying that. I'm like, oh, go off, have a cup of tea, do something else, watch a bit of TV. Completely forgot about it for half an hour or whatever. Come back, it's already on the internet. I'm like, oh, I've missed it. So then I rewound the stream and watched it, and then you know, blasted the trailer a few times through my sound system.
Yeah,
but yeah. Always exciting. Good to see the obviously they had the old crew on stage the day before, and then they had the new actors on there. We've got a new character, Asian woman. I forget her name now, but she's going to be a major new character in it. So it's quite interesting. Mark Hamill's playing down his performance, saying, you know, it's not about him anymore. But the producer was keen to point out it's all about Luke. And J.J. Abrams reckons Mark Hamill's performance is outstanding and frankly Oscar worthy. He reckons he puts everything into it, and I can't wait. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, at least he might have some lines of dialogue this time.
Yes, yes. Does actually speak. So
I'm looking forward to that. So Last Jedi, that's out in December, and of course Battlefront 2 is coming in November, so there'll be lots of potential there.
Yeah, there will be some content on the channel, and I will try and get a hand on at E3.
Yeah. Hey, while we're actually talking about movies, I want to move this swiftly on now. Still keeping it in line with cars, though. There was obviously a certain film that came out last week. I don't know if any of you guys saw it. Fast and Furious 8 is with us. Have any of you seen it yet?
Haven't seen it yet. Don't ruin it for me.
I won't. Don't worry. No one else?
No, just
me.
you and I.
Just me. Yeah. So had this become an 8-part franchise? Seriously, I cannot begin to. I cannot begin to fathom how this became such a massive success. I mean,
it's weird, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of gone from, you had one which was moderately successful for its time, and it was released on the same year. It was successful, but it was released on the same year as Gone in 60 Seconds and Stallone's Driven. Stallone's Driven is the worst racing movie ever made, I would tell you. Gone in 60 Seconds had a couple of cool moments on a generally dull movie. So it came out, and basically it was a remake of Point Break. If you've not seen Point Break with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, watch that film. It's awesome.
Yes.
So Martin, carry on. But I was just going to say the point I was making was the first one that was all right, the second one that was a bit dull, the third one that kind of changed things, and then suddenly launched again on the fourth one. It was like a relaunch of a movie.
It was a reboot, at the time when reboots weren't quite so common as they are now.
And that
I really like Tokyo Drift personally because it's the one film in the franchise that actually has puts emphasis on pure driving skill, not just stunts and explosions and CGI.
But some of that car park stuff was like there had to be trolleys under those cars because they weren't moving naturally.
But so Fast and Furious, it's exactly what you're expecting it to be. I won't spoil anything, but lots of cars blow up, and they say the word family a lot.
I thought he was going to say a different word then.
What might that be?
An F word. I can't say.
Oh, that's a shame. I don't know if this is a spoiler, but they say the word family 14 times because I counted during the screening.
As you do, family.
Yes, I mean this is. I was the only person that laughed every time they said family. I think in that screening because I thought
it was going to be more than that.
No.
How many, did you count how many times someone shouted in concern the word "Dom"?
Dom. That does. Well, if you watch the trailer, that does happen. That's it, isn't it? At the end of every Fast and Furious film for the the last couple of films, it's ended in the same way, hasn't it? Dom does some massive stuff, and then Letty goes Dom, and you think he's dead, and it's just.
The last one was just like a tearjerker. The ending of the last one.
I will say this film is a lot darker than the other ones. There are a few scenes that will surprise you.
Cool.
Generally speaking, the car stunts are well done. If you've seen the trailer, there's a scene where Charlize Theron hacks all the city's cars, which of course would never happen because most of the cars in that scene don't even have autonomous driving capabilities. So there you go. But it is fun to watch. It is spectacular. I will say that much, and it was entertaining. If maybe a bit overlong. I do think the cast is getting a bit too big now, though. It's this huge ensemble cast. But for me, actually, The Rock really stole the show this time. He's by far the best character.
Really? Oh, okay.
He's really come into his own, I think.
Cool. I like Dwayne Johnson. He's a nice guy.
The one thing that really did bother me, though, I guess this is a slight spoiler for Fast and Furious 6, if you haven't seen that one, but Jason Statham's character, he murders one of the crew. And of course, he comes back in this one, and then suddenly he's part of the group now. It's like all is forgiven.
Yeah.
They made a mistake, basically, and they shouldn't have done it that way. And
That's kind of how they tied it.
Do you think they should have ended it at 7? Some people feel they should have ended it at 7.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, because they had a nice ending to it, and that would have been great.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I like the direction they're taking it because the cars are still the stars, but you don't really get attached to them anymore because they just get blown up in every scene. They have a new one all of a sudden,
Yeah.
Where's it going to get to? They're saying it's going to be 10 in total, right?
It's going to be at least 10.
At least, yeah.
I mean, bear in mind though, right? Fast and Furious 8, or The Fate of the Furious, as it's called in America, has made more money than Force Awakens worldwide in its opening weekend, and that scares me.
Yeah, which is
Why would
crazy,
they
isn't
stop
it?
at 10, you know? They could
Yeah,
drag it out.
Yeah,
Keep the money machine going, you know.
Yeah, they will. I mean, I can't see them stopping. I mean,
no.
You know, as long as everyone's willing to keep doing it and everyone's making money, and I think they'll keep going.
I think though, to get this back onto racing games slightly, I think if Fast and Furious never happened, we might not have had a Need for Speed Underground, for example.
Yeah,
no, that's right. You wouldn't have. I mean, Need for Speed Underground was inspired by Fast and the Furious. So
it inspired quite a few games in that.
Juiced
kind of
as well.
era.
Juiced was inspired.
Juiced.
Yeah, was inspired
Maybe
by Fast.
Midnight Club to a degree.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. All these games.
There are a few other kind of non-Need for Speed games that are obviously just a rip-off of Underground that were also heavily inspired by Fast and Furious. Although they have to
Tokyo Extreme Racer.
Sorry?
Tokyo Extreme Racer was another game of that sort of ilk.
Yeah. I mean, there were actually some official Fast and Furious games as well, but
they were horrible, weren't they?
The least said about them, the better, I think.
They were bad. Tokyo Extreme Racer, I feel that them were they were inspired by the Midnight Mountain Racers in Japan, and sort of because there was still that going on at the time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There was a Fast and Furious game made by Technics, I think, that wasn't that bad. I think it was just a Tokyo Drift game.
Yeah.
I
think Juiced. It's funny, but of all the games, I always thought Juiced was the game that reminded me most of Fast and the Furious, which was funny at the time. The cars just were ripped straight out of the film, basically.
Yeah, on the cover, it's got a green Mitsubishi Lancer. How about that? In fact, even if you go back to Burnout 2, there was a Fast and Furious reference with the green racing car on the cover. Do you remember that? It looked just like the Mitsubishi Eclipse in the original Fast and Furious.
In Underground 1, the opening sequence is the same car.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so
it's a different color, but yeah.
Yeah, Fast and Furious spawned an entire genre of racing games, I think is what we're trying to say.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? The influence it had.
Yeah.
Over all these years, before it was famous.
Exactly. Right, anyway, that's enough of Fast and Furious. I think it's time for the Q&A. Right.
Cool.
Going on to Facebook then. Boris, whose name I can never pronounce. Boris, you need to tell us how to pronounce your name. I can't say this every week.
Go on, Ed, you can do it.
Oh, I need to get
Zherliatkov.
He wasn't
Zherliatkov. I had to get up the Google Translate.
Wasn't prepared.
Too slow. That's what I used.
I needed to get it up again so I could hear it again, so I knew how to pronounce it.
Yeah, no, it's
Zherliatkov. We think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
I swear, Boris is becoming a minor celebrity on this podcast.
See if I can play it. Hold on. See if I can play it to you guys. Hold on. Here we go. Hold on.
You, Boris.
Zherliatkov.
Yeah.
Boris. You've got to say Boris first, and then
we'll just say Boris now. But there we go. We are working on this. This is
I think that's going to be a meme in the future. Zherliatkov.
Thank you, Google. Yeah.
Thank you, Google.
Sorry, Boris.
Endless amusement. Right. So, getting on to the question.
There's a question?
Yes, his question is not how do you pronounce my name, although it should be. He says, which motorsport part is missing from almost every game, such as flag-waving marshals, podium ceremonies, safety cars, sidetrack motion, and atmosphere? Sometimes I feel like I'm just driving alone with some other cars on an empty track.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's something we highlighted recently on the Project Cars 2 Rallycross stuff, is that the thing about Rallycross is about atmosphere, and it's about fans cheering, and it's about the activity of motorsport. And when you play Gran Turismo is a good example, GT Sport, it just feels sterile and empty. It doesn't feel like there's people there, and it's an occasion in quite that way. And if you go right back to 2005, when you saw the first 3D modeled crowds in Project Gotham Racing 3, and when you crashed into a wall, the crowd would step back from the wall. It's like really cool tech. And here we are all these years later, and games don't even do that now. They don't even.
Gran Turismo 4 as well, where the crowd would run out of your way on the rally sections. I seem to do.
Well, exactly, and that was in Sega Rally 2 as well, going way back. So yeah, it's so I think crowd atmosphere marshals. It's there's the odd marshal that pops in GT Sport, but it really is the atmosphere of motorsport is something that a lot of games just don't accomplish. I mean, even rallying, right? When you look at videos of rallies, you see thousands of people lining the stages. And when you play the WRC or the other rally games, you're lucky if you've got a handful of people clapping on a corner somewhere. It doesn't.
Suicidal people, might add.
Well, exactly. I mean, obviously there is that in the game. They don't want you being able to run them all over.
Oh no.
Having said that, it would be. It's a shame, isn't it, that you can't have that, because there's those legendary rally videos of them racing through crowds and not being able to see the road. How are they doing that driving? But yeah, so there is that sort of atmosphere missing from racing games, and nobody seems to be making any progress on that.
I think a lot of racing game studios just don't have the kind of talent that deals with motion and sort of people animation. Like the sort of closest they get is having a pit crew that looks like sort of strange robots putting these circular things on your car that weigh about 2 grams. It's like it just doesn't work, because the people that are in these studios, they know how to model cars and write physics and stuff like that. They don't really know how to animate a person.
No, well, I remember when I went to interview the developers of the whole team that made Grid 1 many years ago, 2008, and there was like one guy who made the crowd program, just one guy on his own, and on Grid 1 they could have up to 30,000 people in the crowd. And this one guy made this, and it's like, wow, that was just one of his jobs. He was just this sort of wizard programmer who hated, he wouldn't appear on camera, and he was very shy. But he just liked to bury his head in his computer and make this stuff. And, so few games go to that level of detail.
I think Grid 2 is probably the last game really to have proper racing atmosphere. They made a thing about it, didn't they, at the time? Oh, we have, well, they call it like race day atmosphere or something. I can't remember now. But that was actually one of the selling points of the game.
Yeah.
I remember. I think one other thing actually that's often missing in rally games in particular is obviously the staggered starts of the other cars.
Yeah.
It's always just you on the track. It's never, that's not how rallying works.
That's why I really enjoyed that in Dirt 2.
Yeah.
It's nice being there when you're doing multiplayer queuing with your friends and they were shooting off.
Why didn't add in Dirt Rally?
I'd just like to quickly add like racing flag rules. Seems to be missing an awful lot of titles, even lots of PC racing sims, which we consider to be the sort of really serious racers. I mean, only recently Race from Racing Experience got the flag rules, like a nice big set of flags. So, I feel that's probably a very an area that's you don't often see in racing games, even those that are supposedly really serious racers. So I'd like to see some more of it, but it's going to be it's a challenge, though, isn't it, to implement them without sort of detracting from the game. I guess that's where the challenge really lies.
It's nice to have authenticity, I think.
Yeah.
Right, next question. Jonathan Jordan says, am I the only one who thinks a racing game where you build your car from scratch, from the body all the way through, would be an epic idea?
There is a game sort of like that that's out there. Jalopy is out there at the moment, and that's a very similar sort of live your life driving your old car and getting it, getting it miles. I guess it would depend on how popular that is, but if you haven't played it, do check that out. It's one we've not really had the time to cover on VVV because it's sort of so epic in scale. It's one of those you need to put a lot of time into, but do check out Jalopy and then see what that's like and let us know.
There was another one as well, wasn't there, where I can't remember what it was called now, and you drive sort of like a larder, and you have to try and find like where the petrol station is and stuff, and fix the car randomly when it breaks down and things like that. It's Oh man, I can't remember what it's called now. So annoying. It is well known. People
that really well known game. Well, thanks, Ed.
everyone knows it. It's this, yeah. It's a bit like that. I'll see if I can find out, and I will leave a comment on your question on Facebook.
Yeah, do it.
I will find out.
It's not called like Russian Car Simulator or anything like that.
It's something like that. It was made by like this one dude. It's like an indie game on Steam, and it's the kind of game where you've got to go out there, you drive your car, it's always breaking down, you've got to fix it, and you sort of like get out the car and you've got to find what's wrong with it, and sort of that ilk. But you're not the only one who's thinking of this thing, of this idea of building a car from scratch. But the thing is, there's not enough of you in order for there to be a
very
fully fledged game
market there, I think.
Yeah,
unfortunately. Right, over onto Twitter. Luna says, do you think that commissioned virtual race liveries could ever be a potential trend like art and design?
That's the problem. Is it can't be, because people are going to say, I suppose it would depend on the games company would want a cut of that sale, because they'd say you're using our software, so we want a cut of that. And it's definitely a good idea. It should happen, but unfortunately, because you're using somebody else's IP, it all gets a bit complicated. So
yeah,
we're probably not going to see that in the short term.
What, from computer games?
Yeah. So if you want someone to paint that livery, then they would charge you to paint it.
Yeah, that's happened already.
Yeah, but the
people on Forza that have created designs on Forza have made their way onto real life cars.
Onto real life cars. I don't know if they're talking about. It doesn't really talk about real life cars. I saw it as, would you pay someone to paint your Forza car?
Oh, blimey.
See, they could be the best artists in the world and they'll do a mega paint job, but could amazing artists offer their services? And what I'm saying is that because you're using a third party product, i.e. the Forza software, that brings that complication into it. I mean, you can pay them if you have a direct transaction with that person, but officially speaking, you're using a third party piece of software. So, and then there's licensing to do with that car as well. So I don't think it's going to be a feature that's going to be in a game anytime soon, put it that way.
Yeah.
It's actually complicated. Not, Forza and any game that allows in-car painting is quite lucky to have that anyway. Not all car companies allow that for all games. So,
finally, the lad says, do you think in Dirt 4, instead of not getting licensing for all the Rallycross venues, they could make their own, like in Dirt 3? Well, Project Cars 2 is, so it's kind of a shame, really.
Well, I mean, if they're the official Rallycross game, I am amazed they don't have all the official venues already in place. I've never known an official game to not have all the official venues in there. I think that would be.
I think Gran Turismo 5 had a number of licenses that they just didn't have the content for. I think NASCAR was one. I think they had something else going for it, and they just didn't they so underutilized that it was just terrible to see.
Especially on the Top Gear license. Let's not forget that. Yeah, we got the Top Gear test track, so the first thing you get to do with it is drive a Volkswagen camper van. And
then they took it out for GT6. So.
Yes,
that's right. Yeah, I mean, Forza Motorsport got it, didn't they?
Yeah,
so they got it off them. Yeah, I mean, I am surprised they don't have all the circuits. I mean, obviously, Project Cars has more. In the way of tracks in there. I mean, some unofficial ones as well, but also Project Cars 2 will have the official IndyCar series, and it'll be interesting to see how many IndyCar circuits appear in the game. But as I say, the big one is Indy 500, and this year with Fernando Alonso competing in that, wow, amazing. That's a great license to have. But would a Rallycross standalone game work? Probably not. Probably not with the investment. Would an IndyCar standalone game work? No, it just doesn't have enough popularity on its own, maybe.
What British touring car game?
Yeah, same thing. You know, it just wouldn't work now. As much as people would like it, it just wouldn't work. So,
exactly.
You
know. That's it for questions, actually.
Mm.
So yeah, I guess that's it then for this podcast. Unless anyone else has anything more to add.
No, I think that's it. That's it for now. Yeah, I mean, lots to look forward to in the weeks to come, and you know, we'll see. We've got more Project Cars 2 videos coming up on the channel from Ed, his direct feed stuff. I've got a couple of old gravel videos I've got to get up, so I want to get those up, and then we'll see what else appears on the channel in the coming days.
Great stuff. Right, well, that's it from us then. Thanks as always for listening, and do keep those questions coming for the Q&A. But yeah, that's it then, and we'll see you again next time. Bye for now.
Bye. I found the game. It's called My Summer Car.
Oh, yes. I remember that. Yeah,
I just found it.
My Summer Car.
That's probably the second best name for a racing game after Gravel.
No, the one Alan found on Twitter. It was really just a ridiculous name. What was it?
Oh, what was the one? Super Skid Marks.
That's it.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny.
Skid Marks.
Super Skid Marks.
It's a cow. It's a cow racing game. You race as a cow.